Hey, what's up everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. So the NBA season definitely started yesterday in a real way. Actually, it started the day before, but we don't count them first two games. Even though my team was a part of it, we got blown out, so we'd like to forget about it. But yeah, yesterday was the real full slate, and we had some good stuff to see. The first thing I must do in this camera is acknowledge Damian Jones of the Phoenix Suns, who just put on one of the great clutch opening day performances of my lifetime, to be honest with you. When you talk about a guy who's a role player coming in, getting clutch minutes down the stretch of a basketball game and hitting every clutch shot necessary to win a comeback game against the team that was in the Western Conference Finals the year before, the Dallas Mavericks. I thought Dallas looked pretty good in the highlights I saw. Christian Wood looks fantastic in a Dallas uniform. Strung together about 4 threes in a row. I think he had like 16 points straight in the fourth quarter or something like that. But from there, they just gave the game back. You know, that little run or that big run, I think, kind of lit a fire underneath Phoenix's back, and they put Damian Jones in the game. I don't know what the context was, how that worked out, but he found himself in the game and hit about 4 straight clutch shots down the stretch of the game. Fadeaways, 3-point shots. He was just playing outside of himself when it mattered the most. NBA champion Damian Jones. Now, one of the reasons why I have to get up here and acknowledge Damian Jones, because I was the dude who came on the camera and said I didn't really see no reason why Damian Jones was really with the Golden State Warriors, because I felt like every time I saw him play, he wasn't doing nothing. And I understood him to be Steph Curry's brother-in-law, right? So my thing was, it's some nepotism, BS, this dude ain't that, blah, blah, blah. You know, just talking out my side of my mouth. And now, I have to come back here, eat that crow, acknowledge Damian Jones and say I was wrong, that this man got some game, that he proved that last night, and as well as in the NBA playoffs after I said that Bulls crap. And yeah, that's mine to own. I was pretty trash for running out of my mouth without doing any homework. So, you know what I mean? One of the things I pride myself on being is somebody who comes back around and makes things right. So, Damian Jones, your talent is on display. Your clutch ability was on display. And my Lakers wish they had a shooter like you, a killer like you right now. So, let me be the first to say that I was wrong for saying all that nonsense. And, yeah, maybe nobody ever hears I said it, but I know I said it, so I'm here to make it right. Damian Jones plays basketball for a living, and he does it at a very high level, and that ain't got nothing to do with his affiliations or his family. And he's an NBA champion, and he showed us that ability is on full display, and I think he can help the Phoenix Suns quite a bit after what I saw last night. And I think Coach should not have any hesitation about giving him more opportunities to showcase what he can do, especially since they've had perimeter issues. And he was letting them off real nice. So I like what type of scoring boost he can provide their team, the leadership from winning a championship last year with the Golden State Warriors, and that type of championship mentality is something that they need in their locker room. In my humble opinion, they lost JaVale McGee, they lost Jake Crowder, so they don't have NBA champions in there from what I can tell off rip. So that would be somebody who can kind of give them that flavor and just really help kind of give them something different than what otherwise would be naturally there from the remnants of the scandal and all of that. Somebody who wasn't there last year, who ain't have all that energy, who can come in and just give them something entirely different than what they had. And so given the fact that they've lost some things in their bench, given the fact that they do have those perimeter issues, Damian Jones showed out, proved, and made me look silly, and I'm happy to make it right. So yeah, shout out to him for sure. Of course, there were plenty of games to watch. Man, there was a lot of stuff on tab last night. One of the games that stood out in my mind right now was the Detroit Pistons versus the Orlando Magic. And the reason why is because, for me personally, if you guys follow me, you know I'm a big-time young player fan. I like the youth movement, and I love having a chance to see all the best young lottery talent in one place. And that's exactly what Detroit and Orlando is going to give you 4 times a year this year. If they play 4 times, it might be 3. I don't know how they set it up, but they should see each other multiple times every year. and that's a very good thing because they have multiple high-level future stars, basically. Jalen Duren is a guy who didn't have a very strong preseason, but came out and had a nice double-double to start his actual season. So you got to give Duren credit. That's somebody who I've long said is going to be a monster, and I think the Knicks will curse the day they allowed him to just kind of float through their organization in trade. He was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. I thought they should have kept him, but they ended up drafting Mark Williams. That might be the next best center next to Duren in that class. Maybe Kessler too. We're seeing him push along as well as a big-time rookie center early on. But, you know, for Duren, it's like he's the one that has this physical athleticism to make him different. He's the one that has the passing ability. He's the one that was drafted before the other two. And I think he would be the one you'd consider have a lot of upside. He found himself in Detroit amongst the rest of these lottery picks. And I thought he did a really good job. Stewart was also somebody who stood out, hit a big clutch three in the corner. I thought that was fantastic. Jaden Ivey came out with a blast, straight big-time start to his career. I think he had 19 points, something like that. Really made his presence felt, had like 3 steals. And Paolo Banchero, as I told you guys, he's one of the best pure scorers in the NBA. I'm telling you, this is not just me getting ahead of myself. No, he's coming into the NBA as one of the best pure scorers in it. And I'm telling y'all that right now. And he proved what his first glimpse looks like. And it was pretty much what we saw in LeBron James. Pretty much the only player who ever put up those type of stats in their debut was LeBron James and Paolo Banchero. So that should tell you right now what type of line he had. I think it was like 27, 5, and something else, 6, something like that. Don't quote me, but his numbers were substantial all-star numbers in his very first NBA basketball game. So I would love to tell you guys I'm surprised by that, but I'm not at all. When you do homework on this guy and you see what it is he can do, you understand that he comes in ready. Like, I don't know what he looks like on the defensive end. I think he's been said as somebody who doesn't play defense. I don't see that with my eyes. My eyes tell me that he plays pretty damn good defense, actually. In fact, when I see him play, I've seen him make more defensive plays than I've seen him make offensive plays in the highlights that I've seen. Block shots, steals, and breakaways, stuff like that. Scrums, getting rebounds. So this is a powerful player with a lot of muscle strength and with a lot of size. And when it comes down to it, when you're as skilled as he is, all-star games are going to be something that you're going to see a lot of in your career. So I'm not at all down on the Orlando Magic as a whole, and I think Paolo Banchero is probably better than advertised, to be honest. He's better than advertised. And this is coming from somebody who, when the draft class first got announced to me and I started really doing initial homework, I didn't really love Paolo that much. But now that I've done more homework, my eyes are open, and that is a monster. A very, very, very potent one. And when he starts stringing together 30 and 40-point games regularly, it won't be any shock to me, because it's coming. He can pass, he can rebound. So yeah, triple-double threat, high-scoring numbers, dishing out punishment. Yeah, that's a problem. And I love the dynamic that they have, and I've mentioned this many times, but putting Bol in there with Carter and Bamba looked fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And Detroit is not a team that's lacking in size. So to see them have their, have some success with size down there, and just see what that dynamic looks like, it looks good. And then Jalen Suggs came out the gate. I think he had 21 points. He looks pretty good. And Anthony didn't play, but you could clearly see the makings of a team that has a lot of talent, man. Jonathan Isaac should be back very soon. I don't know what's up with Markelle Fultz, but he's also a valuable player coming off injury. So I done told you guys, don't be surprised about the Magic. If they do good things, do not be surprised. And the same thing about Detroit. Both of those teams have high-level talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play some more. Another game that comes to mind, just thinking about all the games that were played, I gotta say that Ben Mathurin and the Indiana Pacers really stood out to me because I'm definitely excited about him. As I told you guys, I don't think he misses very much, and he came out the gate and had a fantastic rookie game, debut game in his rookie season, hitting all kinds of shots, and just overall, you can tell the Pacers are a team that, as I told you guys, they got some talent. They have Halliburton. You know he's a beast. That dude is one of the best point guards in basketball. Um, as I've mentioned as well, a very smart shooting guard they picked up, Duarte. He's going to be just continuing to get better and better, very efficient. So you can see the makings of efficiency being put together. And, you know, if guys make shots, I mean, it isn't a whole lot, that can go wrong when you have highly efficient basketball players on your starting lineup. So I like the Pacers. I don't think they're trying to win. I don't expect them to really do anything. But going forward with the pieces that they have, they can definitely do something nice. I thought Rudy Gobert came out pretty good. I'm going to segue to the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, I've been wanting to kill Rudy Gobert's game as of late. I don't like some of the offensive ways that he's kind of gone about it at the end of his Utah tenure. Some of the stuff that I thought that would help this normally help this era with things that he probably wouldn't be very good at, guarding the perimeter, stuff like that. I just felt like he's more or less somebody whose game is kind of the game has passed him by in a way. But he had such a fantastic summer in the FIBA championships, and I thought that he carried that over very well into the start of this season. 27 points, and just really looked spry, looked healthy, looked energetic, looked happy. He just looks like he's in a very good place in Minnesota. And for me, the biggest problem with that situation is not something that's going to show up on the paper. You know, it's not something that's going to show up. I think their issues are going to come 3-4 years down the road when they look and find they don't have any picks because they gave them all up for Rudy Gobert. But for the short term, I don't think there's anything bad to look at in regards to Rudy Gobert and him being a Minnesota Timberwolf. If they could have got him for a good price, that would be a very good acquisition. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. So it's the price tag that makes that the worst trade in the history of the sport, not necessarily the fit or the player. And Rudy looks great, so I got to give him his credit. I really like what I saw there. Minnesota looks like a good team. Anthony Edwards didn't really have that great of a game, but you could still see where the team is going to be better as they improve some of the pieces that they have. I like them. Another team that stood out tonight, or rather last night, was the Houston Rockets. And, the Houston Rockets are a team with a lot of talent. Obviously, you got Jalen Green in place, Terry Eason, and all those boys, Jabari Smith, Porter. I just thought they put on a pretty solid performance as well. Nothing too spectacular, but I thought it was fun to just kind of see what they're trotting out there. It was just a lot of basketball. I mean, we had games up and down the tab. San Antonio, you got to give credit to Keldon Johnson. It looks like he's about to have a breakout year shooting from behind the arc. So he really stood out. As I've already mentioned, Walter Kessler, we got to talk about Denver and Utah because Utah is a team that we expect to go after Wembanyama. Obviously, they've done everything they can to upstart their rebuild, trading Rudy Gobert, trading Donovan Mitchell, trading other pieces as well, to just give themselves a brand new look. And I tell you, I really, really like the floor. And I know that's like whatever, but I really love what Utah's floor looked like, their alternate blue floor. It's just something about how that blue looked. It looked real rich to me. I love the old school Utah with the mountains and the blue and all that. So I just want to give them a shout out for the color scheme and the floor. I just thought it was some of the best I'd seen this season thus far. Loved it. And I think they should hold on to that blue. But nevertheless, Walter Kessler and Colin Sexton, they look like they play really well together. Lauri Markkanen, that's a team that has been put together by a guy who has a fiery, competitive edge. So when you think of something that Danny Ainge is going to put together from his imagination, it's going to be a team that has fight in them. It's going to be a team that has a lot of dogs. It's going to be teams that can shoot the ball. It's going to be teams that's going to be feisty on defense, just like him. And that's what I see. A very feisty basketball team. The Walter Kessler pickup, I loved him when he was drafted. I liked the idea of him going to Minnesota, playing next to Karl Towns. You know what I mean? Because I like the idea of having shot blocking, ironically enough, with Gobert, but shot blocking in place next to Karl Towns to help him with the center stuff. So when they sent him to Utah for Rudy Gobert, I just thought that was a great opportunity for Walter Kessler, because there ain't going to be nobody there really getting in his way of playing the center position. I mean, yeah, he'll have some competition, Kelly Olynyk, there'll be a few other guys, but nobody that's ultimately going to stop him from having it long term. So I think this is a great spot for Walter Kessler, and he came out and played really good, had a double-double in his career first game, and we know that he specializes in shot blocking. So that is a rookie that we need to keep on our radar. He's going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate if he gets full minutes in a full season, because the things that he does and the opportunity that he'll have is immense. It's just simply immense. So I'm excited about Walker Kessler. I think his name is Walker. I might have said it wrong. But yeah, that's going to be a big-time rookie. Portland, got to give credit to Portland. I really like their team right now. I do, even though I don't love the moves that they made necessarily. I thought they shaved plenty of salary and then should have probably went the tank route. But they decided to do the last contract for Dame route, which it's one of those situations where it's like, if you're them, I guess it's just what you're going to do anyway. It's not like you can see yourself in the short term having a better plan for your fans. Yes, you can reset your timeline and tank for Wembanyama, but your team ain't going to be any good for a very long time, even if you get Wembanyama, because you're a long way away from everything if you tear it all down. So I think their mentality was, we've sucked so bad, we've made it so that Dame's had to sit here throughout this process while we get our books in order. Now that we got our books in order, instead of enjoying the fruit of having flexibility for a while, let's go all in for Dame and do right by him. So it's an organizational decision that I probably would not have made as somebody who doesn't have a relationship or emotional tie to Dame. You know what I mean? I think that's the kind of thing you do when you're friends with the person that you're doing business with. You make sure he's straight on the back end with the most amount of money to see his way out of the. And I think that's what it was. I really look at that. It was like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I spent the majority of my prime in your uniform while you guys were going through some stuff financially that couldn't get me the team I needed, and now it's time for me to get paid. It's time for me to get what I'm supposed to get for that sacrifice. And I think that's the arrangement Dame and the Portland Trailblazers have had for the last 10 years. I really believe that. I believe that strongly. I don't think there's a whole lot else to see there, really. Dame has kind of just allowed Portland to kind of piggyback his entire tenure, his career, to kind of get themselves on track. And now they're back on track. They went and picked up Jeremy Grant. They repaid their big man. And they also made sure that they paid Simons. And then they drafted Shaedon Sharpe, who I think is an amazingly talented, super gifted rookie who's going to give them a lot of easy buckets. Easy buckets with his athleticism and his shooting. I'm high on Shaedon Sharpe as I am any guard in the draft. This dude is going to be a star. And I love the fact that he's positionless in a way, because he has a huge body. So I can feel comfortable playing him at the 3, feel comfortable playing him at the 2. I don't know about his ball handling, but there are some small ball 4 lineups that I wouldn't have no problem putting Shaedon Sharpe in as well. So that is a player I think they should start as soon as possible. I don't think they should wait. I know they're going to play, as I've said, Anthony Simons at the 2. He had a really good game yesterday. So you definitely love what he can do from a shooting perspective, but he's a smaller person. At the end of the day, he's not guarding anybody. So for me, I think the bigger body of Shaedon Sharpe is somebody I would just rather have at the 3 spot, match him up with Jeremy Grant at the 3, and then fill out the rest of the roster. Either put Grant at the 4 if you want a little more small ball energy there, Shaedon at the 3, Simons at the 2, and of course Dame at the 1. And of course, their 5 is in place. So Portland has a good team. I felt like if they would have reset their timeline and just did away with all this Dame stuff, I think they would have an even better future if they tear it all down to build it up. But when you consider the pieces that they've been able to pick up along the way, Josh Hart is a high-level piece. on top of that. So I just like their guard rotation right now. And I think they could be a playoff team. When you have Dame in place, you have Jeremy Grant in place, who also had a very good game. You can clearly see the makings of good defense and offensive balance. They're not an overwhelmingly great team, but I would not be surprised if Dame pushes them into a 6th or 7th, 8th seed. I could totally see that, especially with those pieces now in place. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on the Portland Trailblazers. They are not a team to be taken lightly. And, that's what I see there. Sacramento, they lost a tough game last night with Portland. That's who they played. I think it could have been a difference for them if they would have had their rookie out there, Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray is his name, and he's out with health and safety protocol. But I thought when you talk about the Sacramento Kings, the first thing that popped off the screen was how good De'Aaron Fox looked last night. He was able to get to the rim at will. His focus level was super high. His conditioning is always super high. And, you could just see where he's a lot more poised now. His defense, you could see his defense was really on display last night. He was making plays. I just thought De'Aaron Fox took a step forward last night. We've been waiting for De'Aaron Fox to kind of show us the type of player that he was when he was drafted. And while he's shown us that he's a super high-level player, we haven't seen that De'Aaron Fox, I don't think, just yet. We've seen a really, really, really good De'Aaron Fox, but not that De'Aaron Fox that was drafted. So I'm super excited about where he's headed this season with, some of the guards out of the way. They've been he's had a log jam for the last couple years with these players that he's had in rotation with him. So now that some of those guys are kind of moved, he can get more of a starter's role that matches what it is that I think he can do. So when you talk about De'Aaron Fox, that's somebody you need to be keeping an eye on this year. Would not be surprised if he makes an all-star team this season. Definitely would not. So who else? Talk about the New York Knicks a little bit. They're a team that I think is pretty good. Julius Randle looked pretty good out there yesterday. I thought that overall, when you're considering the New York Knicks, you're wondering what they're going to do on the defensive end. Obviously, you have Robinson in place at the center position blocking shots. Quentin Grimes, somebody who can play some defense as well. But the players that they have as a whole, none of those guys that I can think of are going to be prided on the defensive end, I guess you could say. R.J. Barrett, not known for defense. I don't believe Jalen Brunson is a defensive player like that. He played some good defense last year, but that's not his game. Julius Randle's not a great defender. Quickly and Toppin have been, have not been described as defenders. So I look at that team and I say, if the New York Knicks are going to really make noise, they're going to have to play great team defense. They're going to have to find ways of getting stops, and that's really where the calling card is. I don't think they're going to have a problem scoring. I really don't. But can they get the stops? And the answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. The team that looked the best to me last night is the same team I told you guys I think is the best team in the Western Conference. And I know the Golden State Warriors need a lot of respect. I get that. So if I'm saying the best team in the Western Conference, I'm just putting the Warriors aside because I'm not really sure if I don't really know if I want to even put them in this conversation. They're kind of by themselves. They just won a championship. They haven't broken down their team, so they are the best team in the Western Conference, all right? Let's just put that there. But when we talk about the team that I'm most excited about, the team that I'm putting my money on, it's the Pels. It is the Pelicans. Make no mistake about it. The Pelicans do not have Steph Curry. The Pelicans do not have Steve Kerr as their coach. That's not what's going on. But what they do have is a super talented basketball team and a very damn good coach in Willie Green. And I'm looking at their roster and I'm just saying, it's not Zion and B.I. and Valanciunas that makes them crazy great in my mind. It's the players that make up their bench that make them so damn deep that makes them impossible to me. It's the Trey Murphys, Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr.'s, Najee Marshalls. Those are the players that, because they have everything else that they already have, Jones, McCollum, B.I., Zion, Valanciunas, because they have all that other stuff, you can't be having Jackson Hayes on the back of the bench. You understand what I'm saying? Like, these players that they have are far too talented. And you think about Alvarado and the offensive game that he's now putting together in the preseason. You can see him putting up big numbers on top of all the stuff that he does defensively and hounding and stuff like that. I look at the New Orleans Pelicans and I honestly say, if it comes down to a 7-game series, body for body, I don't think there are 3 teams in the league that match up with them very well. I don't think it's 3 teams that match up well with them. Body for body for body. When you start talking about the first 7, first 8, yeah, you got something. But once you start getting in the back of their bench, they have quality talent back there. And that's the thing that people need to really understand. High-level upside guys. A guy like Trey Murphy, if he drops 30 on you from the bench, it should not be a shock. That's the type of thing that he can do, because he shoots a 3 at a high clip, and he's super intelligent, super talented, and that's just where his game is going to be headed. So you can consider the fact that he'll have so many open shots because of the other offensive talent around him. CJ McCollum, you can drop 50 on you if on a very good night, and that's even more so real because of all the other threats that are on the floor, especially Zion, who's going to demand a double team at all times. Valanciunas is probably going to demand a double team a good portion of the time because he's so huge and does so much with easy buckets underneath the paint. Plus, he stretches the floor, so you don't have issues with spacing with him down there. I'm telling you, there are teams that people like a lot, like the Brooklyn Nets, the Clippers, a lot of these teams. But when they start running into Zion and Valanciunas, they don't have no matchup for that. The Clippers don't have anyone to match up with Valanciunas and Zion Williamson. They should get 30 points apiece. 30 points apiece. Who's guarding them? Zubats? That's food, man. That's food. So, I think it's real cute to talk about certain other teams, you know what I mean? Because they have bigger names. Obviously, they have bigger franchises. They've won recently. You just kind of automatically go toward those names. I think it's a foregone conclusion that certain names, even in players, it's like, oh yeah, he can play. No, he's past his prime. Oh, that guy used to be good. Yeah, 3 years ago. It's a lot of that going on in the national media where they're super excited about players that I don't think have anything left. It's the players that are young that haven't proven themselves that I know have high upside that I think make up better benches. And I think it's going to be proven when they show what they can do. Talent is talent, man. At the end of the day, I don't care if a guy has all the experience in the world. That stuff is overrated. When you go up against a guy that's bigger, faster, longer, and stronger than you, and he can shoot better than you, I don't care how smart you are. You're probably getting beat. That's just real, man. I think it's a lot of conversation about experience, and some of these veterans, you got to have veterans on the team. I hear people, I get that. But a lot of times these veterans have so many miles on them. And on top of that, they're capped off at a certain level of talent because they just weren't that great to begin with. They're not lottery picks like some of these youngsters that are coming up right now. They don't have that upside. And most importantly, they're already worked into their ways. So whatever they are, they're going to be that, and they're going to be that until they're done. That's not for me. I want upside. Give me the guy that hasn't been proven yet, that I know has the crazy metrics, and I'll teach him what I need him to know. Then I'll put him in positions to succeed, and we'll grow together. But if you give me one of the old dudes that's got $70 million in the bank, already been played 12 years on his knees, and now you expect him to be the same guy he was 5 years ago, that mistake has been made too many times, and we ain't gonna make it on this channel. So for me, you give me the kids on the bench that have the lottery upside, and I'm gonna tell you that's a better bench than some of them guys that been running around for 12 years that y'all love to talk about. No, I'm sorry. I'm over it, man. Out with the old, in with the new, unless the old can keep up with the new. Period. So we gonna see. That's why I'm bigger on teams like New Orleans than I am, say, I don't know, I can't think of a random team. Brooklyn, for example. And that's another team. Boy, oh boy. Brooklyn, my God, man. My God, I hate being right. When it comes to talking down and being pessimistic, it ain't the greatest feeling in the world being right. I would much rather come back and say stuff like I did at the beginning of the video. I was wrong about Damian Jones. I messed up. When it comes to the Nets, I'm right. That team is awful. When I say awful, awful. There are people who think the Lakers are a worse team than the Nets. They are not. They're not. The Lakers have a glaring hole that makes it so that if they can't fill that hole, it's going to be difficult for them to win in the modern era. That is a very specific problem. We need three-point shooting. We have defensive bigs. We have players that can do different things. We have more wing help than people think, because Wenyen Gabriel and Juan Toscano Anderson are better at that than people think. So is Austin Reeves. They're better than people think. And when we get a system that works, I'm sure we'll be better. But we have a problem. We have trouble winning games because we need to get some shooting. Make a couple trades, we can get better immediately. Brooklyn, they need a lot more than shooting. They need talent. When you look at their bench, and I'm being honest, when you look at that bench, you are going to see a couple of names that fit the bill of what I said. Guys who've been in the years for 12 years, $70 million in the bank, and probably don't have nothing left. You're going to see a couple guys like that. You're going to see some young guys who have yet to prove themselves, who are exciting players, but unless they get the minutes, unless they get put in positions to succeed, unless they're given an opportunity to learn what they need to learn with great coaching and all that, you're not going to get none of these guys. Deron Sharp, David Duke, Cam Thomas, who else? There's a few others as well. They have to get those guys involved. Claxton, I'm telling you, if I'm running the show, you ain't gonna see Patty Mills. He ain't gonna play. You ain't gonna see who else? There's some other dude on the back of that bench that Markieff Morris. Respect to Markieff Morris. That's a Laker champion. We got love for Markieff Morris, but he was done when he was with us. I'm just being real, man. The Brooklyn Nets, that team's awful, bro. They got three superstars whose games don't necessarily fit one another right now. Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving can fit anywhere. Nobody's going to argue with that. But what they need around them is basically the complete opposite of what they have. They need players who can be big and strong, fast, heavy, and long to make up for all the stuff that they're not able to do. Now, granted, Kevin Durant is long. He can do all those different things, of course. But in order to complement Kyrie Irving, he's going to need defensive players around him, big, healthy, girthy players around him, people who can push people around. You know what I'm saying? So that he can have the room to not have so much responsibility on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, he can just dance and roam, drive and shoot, and not have to worry about defensive responsibilities, physical responsibilities, pushing people around. Kyrie Irving is being asked to do more than he's capable of doing physically. I'm just going to tell you the God's honest truth. The Nets need him to do too much, and it ain't going to work. Ben Simmons has to get back in shape. That's literally what it is. The Ben Simmons we're used to seeing was a physical specimen, pure muscle that could fly and dart and fly and jump, no problem. This Ben Simmons has been dealing with a back injury and mind injury, so to speak, that has kept his conditioning away from where it used to be. He's lost all of that. Now he's just a guy trying to get back in shape. And so, in order for Ben Simmons to be the Ben Simmons we need him to be, he needs to get in shape. He needs to get much more strong. He needs to get much more fast. He needs to find that pop again. I don't know if it comes back. I don't know if the back injury will allow that to come back. Listening to how bad that back was. He said he was climbing upstairs and his whole back left collapsed. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. Listen, if Ben Simmons had another year to work on his conditioning, and then his game was that of somebody who shot the ball and didn't have no physical responsibilities, I would feel real good about Ben Simmons going forward. But Ben Simmons, like Robert Williams, is a player to where their injury needs to be given more respect than maybe another type of player because of the defensive physical responsibilities they're going to have. You see what I'm saying? Ben Simmons last night was trying to guard people much bigger than him. And it's going to be his responsibility to guard those players every night. Paolo Banchero, Zion Williamson. These are guys he's guarding. I don't know that he's going to have to guard Jokic and Embiid necessarily because they're going to throw Claxton at those guys. But Claxton is a guy who's going to play a lot of defense. I like what I saw from him yesterday. But damn it if I think he's somebody who's going to be able to stop those guys himself. He's not. That's not where he's headed. So I just have a more realistic expectation level for the Brooklyn Nets because I understand that their defensive issues are going to be real. Now, granted, as much as I've killed the Royce O'Neal situation, I saw a lot of good from Royce O'Neal last night. He made a bunch of plays that popped off the screen. So if he does that 81 more times, maybe they don't feel as bad about giving away the potential Victor Wembanyama draft pick for him, which is something I've predicted is possible, even though I don't actually think that'll happen. The Brooklyn Nets are a bad enough team to where if KD goes down and Kyrie doesn't play, their team is going to suck bad enough for Victor to be in their uniform. And they ain't going to get him because they traded away their picks. It's in Utah. So that is what I'm here to share with you guys. I still think the Brooklyn Nets are one of the worst teams in the basketball right now. One of the very worst teams in basketball right now. And it's not because they're superstars or anything less than superstars. Those guys are still exactly who they were. It's just that when you put certain players in certain positions, their strengths are not going to be able to be on display. It's their weaknesses that are going to be most glaring, and that is exactly what the Brooklyn Nets roster does for Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons, in my opinion. It magnifies their weaknesses and doesn't magnify those same strengths. It does not. They need more big defensive bodies. They need a secondary facilitator, I believe, who could stretch the floor to give them even more spacing, to create more space for Kyrie and KD, since Ben Simmons is going to be taking it away from them by not being a threat shooting the ball. See, this is another problem. You're shrinking the floor for two offensive players that need to be able to have floor spacing to do what it is that they do. Kyrie Irving needs space to move. KD needs space to move. How the hell are they going to get that space when you got a non-shooter on the floor for the majority of the time they're on the floor? It's not possible. It's not possible. You're shrinking the floor. And then on top of that, if Ben Simmons finds himself in a situation where he's driving at the rim, I'm wondering if his free throw shooting is up to par. That's where it needs to be. He needs to be able to shoot above 70% for it to make sense. Otherwise, if he's getting to the line 8 and 9 times and it's not turning into points, they don't have the size to rebound those missed free throws in some cases. Even though that's a minuscule thing to think about, it's a reality when you start seeing the game start getting played. He start missing free throws, and he's the best rebounder. KD is going to be asked to do too much on both sides of the floor in that regard as well. You know what I mean? KD was tasked with guarding B.I. At this stage in his career, I don't want him guarding B.I. for 40 minutes a game. He ain't going to make it through the season if he has those assignments every night. He ain't going to make it through the season. So I think KD had it right when he requested a trade from Brooklyn. I do. I think he had it absolutely right. He cannot win there. And I think he should play it smart. I don't think he should up the request again and disrupt things. I don't think that. But he can't win there. He can't win there. I'm just being honest. And Ben Simmons does, Ben Simmons is a fantastic facilitator and defensive player. But his conditioning is going to tell the story. And I will always put this in this camera. If you're asking a defensive player to come back from injury and take on physical defensive assignments, setbacks are imminent. It's not about if those setbacks are coming, it's how bad they will be. So that's what I got to say, man. I'm glad you guys stuck with me for 38 long minutes talking about basketball. I'm certain I could talk more. I definitely can. But I think I'll stop stealing y'all time for now. I truly appreciate everybody who sticks with my channel. Obviously, we've been having a lot of conversations about a lot of different stuff, but the basketball is ultimately what I love and I'm passionate about. So as we continue to have more season, I will continue to give you more. I wish I would have came a little more prepared. My mind went blank when I started thinking about those matchups. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But the teams and what they look like, I can always access in my brain. And yeah, that's what I want to say pretty much. The Lakers, my team, we play tonight. The Los Angeles Clippers, we hate them. It's going to be a passionate matchup, but I'm not foolish. They are a better team than us right now. The thing about the Clippers, as I said, they don't have the size that I think can help them win the Western Conference, but they do have enough to help them get through the regular season. So I welcome a really, really nice surprise today. My team get a victory, but I'm not expecting it. If anything, I'm just hopeful that we can continue to showcase Russell Westbrook at a high level. That's what I want to see us do. Just keep showcasing him at a high level and keep his trade value where it needs to be. The wins and losses, they're going to, it is what it is. We're not going to win a lot early on until we trade that boy. But once we trade that boy, I'm pretty sure we can get us a player that can shoot the ball and help make this team make a little more sense. So if I'm going to say anything about my little squad before I check out, is that we are not as bad as people think we are. We're just missing some pieces that will allow us to fit. Once you get rid of Russell Westbrook and bring that piece in, you'll start to see all of those little not so talented pieces on the Lakers slip into a system that is supposed to help complement itself. You understand what I'm saying? It was built the right way. It's just that when you start plugging the players away from the team and start looking at them for what they are, you start realizing the team doesn't have the most proven bunch of guys. But their skill sets and what it is that they do, if you remove that Russell Westbrook piece, they all slip in together to make sense. And that's what I want people to understand about the Lakers. So, that's what I got to say. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.